Thank you, Ian Cast.
Just by the way, my wife in the
Thank you.
And my father-in-law being pensioner.
Thank you.
On my way.
Okay.
On the
Minutes. To approve the accuracy of the minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of September 2013. Agreed. Start the minutes. Thank you. And now, agenda item 3, LGPS update.
Thank you, Chair. This report covers 4 areas. The latest regulatory developments relating to the LGPS, the collaborative project between Merseyside and Cheshire Pension Funds, covers the recent consultation on academies, and finally an update on the National LGPS Communication Plan. So moving to 2.1, the first part of the regulatory framework was put in place on the 19th of September, with the LGPS regulations being laid, and they set out the framework for the new reform scheme. Under 2.2, officers need to look at 4 matters. Firstly, that the regulations are correctly interpreted and applied. Secondly, to review the operational implications for the fund. Thirdly, that employers are made aware of their duties and responsibilities. And then finally, that members of the scheme are also informed of the impending changes. Under 2.3, further regulations are expected. The transitional regulations, when this report was written, which was more than a fortnight ago, they were imminent, although we've been told they will be delayed for another 2 weeks. Nonetheless, software providers have indicated that they expect systems to be available for the 1st of April when the new scheme comes into effect. And there are further regulations around cost control and scheme governance that are due to follow in due course. Under 2.5, provide members with an update on the collaborative project between ourselves and Cheshire Pension Fund. We're looking to collaborate on looking at these new regulations and the implications for our policies, procedures, and calculations. We've set out a scoping, we've had a scoping and information sharing exercise, and we have drawn up a project plan which was signed off on Friday, and we're looking to work with them in that area. We're also looking to work with them in the area of communications, which brings me on to the third part of the report. Under 2.8, members will be aware that we are undertaking the National Communication Plan in conjunction with the LGA. We're hosting the website. So in relation to that, firstly, we're undertaking some work with our employers. 2.9, we cover the 5 areas where we've been providing monthly updates to them, and also there's some national work has been done to produce in-depth work on payroll specification and an HR guide for employers, payroll providers and software providers. Under 2.10, we're going to relaunch the national website, which we're hosting with up-to-date information and 3 topic-based videos. And we can use the communication exercise that we're undertaking nationally to work with Cheshire and our own members, so that's a more efficient way of using resources. Under 2.11, we move on to the consultation and pooling arrangements for academies. This followed on the recent guarantee that was issued by the Department for Education. Under 2.13, we set out the purpose of the consultation, which was to ensure that pension costs do not act as a barrier to academy status. There's the potential for prescriptive regulation, which would include the 4 options set out under section 2.14. It's not clear whether the consultation is in relation to the contribution rates at conversion or in relation to the ongoing contribution rates for academies, but our feeling is it's particularly in relation to contribution rates at conversion, so that when a school converts to an academy, there's no change initially to its contribution rates, which would obviously discourage it from converting. In relation to pooling, the fund doesn't have any pooling arrangements for any of its employers. Every employer in the fund is dealt as an individual standalone employer, and we feel this has worked for academies as well, so that when we convert them, they come across at the common contribution rate that applies to local education authority schools, and it will only vary in future according to the experience of that school in relation to ill health retirements, pay increases, so on and so forth. Under 2.18 we refer to receipt of advice from the actuary. That advice has been received. We have prepared a response to the consultation which closed on Friday, so following consultation with the chair of the committee, we have submitted that consultation within the deadline. Set out the relevant risks under section 3. Firstly, that the necessary regulations and guidance may not be issued in time, and secondly, that depending on which pooling arrangement the government may prefer to prescribe, there could be potentially a concentration of risk for administering authorities. The word is missing from the second line of 3.2, so it should read, may present a concentration of risk for administering authorities, as it is unlikely that successful academies would wish to provide ongoing funding. Under section 7 we set out resource implications. Clearly in relation to the new scheme that's coming in, we're having to undertake a formal change programme and the need to overhaul our administration arrangements. In relation to the collaboration with Cheshire Pension Fund, clearly that helps in terms of sharing resources between ourselves and hopefully ensure the timely implementation of the new arrangements. In relation to the consultation and pooling, we are clearly waiting for the government's consideration of that consultation and the way forward that they prefer to choose. Under legal implications, potentially the government's changes in relation to the pension boards will necessitate a change to the council's constitution. So the recommendation under section 12 is that members note the report and that a response was sent following consultation with the chair of the pensions committee. Thank you, Chair.
Anybody got any comments or questions regarding this?
Chair, this isn't really regarding the items which have been spoken about in the report, but things which I think are generally covered by this section of the agenda. I think since our last pension committee, I think we've dealt with corporate evidence and the submission of the problem made. But since then, we heard that the local government minister was tendering for some outside report from some independent person who's going to, sounds like we're going to overrule everything anybody had said. Would we heard anything more about that?
No, the DCRG haven't indicated, certainly in the outcome from the report, whoever was appointed for that exercise is working on it at the moment, and from the timeline that's in the tender, a report is expected by the end of November.
Well, the other thing is that some of us went to the NAPF conference in Manchester, and we heard the pensions minister speak very positively about everything that's going on in terms of pension schemes and our reforms. Since then, I've heard he's been talking about ending widows' and dependents' pensions. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, this is more broadly in relation to defined benefit pension schemes in the private sector, so that in order to make them more affordable by, one, taking away the indexation of pensions in payment, yes, secondly, taking away spouse pension benefits, it's a way of making pension funds potentially more affordable, more sustainable, but I know a little more than that. It's just a proposal at the moment.
If that's something that we could come to LGPS as well as the others.
I'm not sure. I think on the basis of the settlement, the reform scheme is supposed to be in place for 25 years. The press indicated it wouldn't come to the public sector, but we wait to see.
One further thing that the local government minister, in justifying the report, issued a press release which, in brief terms, implied that local government schemes costs have risen dramatically in the last few years, and the returns had been very, very different and gone the other way. Looking at the figures that were quoted, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, really thought the figures were not our experience, albeit our investment return has been brilliant because of the financial situation. But I wondered whether the fund has any knowledge of what that's all about and how we're being aligned by this.
Yes, we weren't sure whether the figure quoted was actually a typographical error, because one figure was in the low millions, and then the second figure was something like £6 billion, which was the changing cost. We weren't sure whether it should have been billions rather than millions, the previous figure. But no, clearly there has been a change in the balance between pensions paid 10 years ago and pensions in payment now, that there are more pensioners than there were 10 years ago, which is a reflection of partly staffing changes and the maturity of the scheme. But no, I can't ask anyone else to look at that.
On page 11, where timescales are mentioned in paragraph 2 of 2.9, impractical for funds to comply with statutory requirements to produce annual benefit statements, and then also timescales are referred to in section 3.1 of page 13. Is that likely to have an implication for staffing levels for funds? As well as the
It's certainly in relation to item 2.9. That is, in relation to annual benefit statements, the Pensions Act 2013 brought forward the deadline for annual benefit statements to be sent out, but there was no change to the deadline for employers to submit information to the fund. So clearly, the way regulations are laid at the moment, there's a bit of a mismatch between when we get the information, when we're expected to provide it to our members. So I think the report is saying that needs to be addressed in the statutory requirements. In relation to the resource implications, we're managing at the moment, but trying to bring in a new scheme and an existing scheme is proving challenging, and it's certainly, the burden is falling on a number of staff on the administration section, and because of the retirement of experienced staff that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years, the staff that have stepped up have less capacity to assist than we would have had 2 or 3 years ago.
Following on the national LGPS membership information on Merseyside's website is guided to the working with the videos to be advertised.
Yes, that's right. He's been working with the LGA, and I understand the pension conference they're at the moment. Those videos are being showcased, and hopefully Merseyside name checked as being the host authority and as being a significant contributor to that.
I think they'll look to improve on that to guide as well as to ensure on behalf of the
give some context to agenda item 4, we actually have 4 reports on the agenda tonight, which are all interlinked and interdependent. I'm going to take the actuarial evaluation and funding strategy statement, and then Paddy will pick up on asset allocation and the statement of investment principles. But they all have, they are all interrelated, and so we'll work through them hopefully fairly clearly and methodically. So, firstly, agenda item 4 is the triennial evaluation, and it updates members with the provision results from the fund's triennial actuarial evaluation. There was an in-depth discussion at the Investment Monitoring Working Party on the 23rd of October, when Paul Middleman from our actuary Mercer attended to provide more information to members. The reason that there's a regulatory requirement to undertake an actuarial evaluation and to report a funding level every 3 years. It has the purpose of 1, securing the long-term solvency of the fund, and secondly, we need to set employer contribution rates for the 3-year period from the 1st of April 14 through to the end of March 17. In undertaking evaluation, the actuary has to consider funding assumptions, principles adopted by the fund. We set out some of those under section 2.4. So he looks at the investment return, inflation, increases in pensionable pay, and future pension increases. And clearly those are all assumptions made on the information that he has. And then he looks at some demographic assumptions around retirement ages, ill health retirements, mortality, those leaving the fund, and the differences between married and age differences between those married and spouses. Under section 2.5, he looks at the actual experience over the 3 years compared to the assumptions he made 3 years ago, and then comes up with a calculation of the overall financial health of the fund. These are set out under section 2.8. So members will see that the fund had assets valued at £5,819 million, which was an increase from the £4,706 million as at the March 2010. And similarly, there's been an increase in the deficit from £1,310 million to £1,869 million, which translates to a decline in the funding level from 78% to 76%. So this deficit is in respect of benefits for past service liabilities and needs to be recovered from employers. Under 2.12, this is in relation to the future service rate. Currently that's 11.6%, and that would need to increase at a fund level to 13.9% to take account of those assumptions that the actuary has made, and that does allow for a cost saving of 1.8% from the new scheme that's coming in from the 1st of April. Those are whole fund numbers. Each employer will have its own contribution rate, each employer will have its own deficit, or in fact in some cases no deficit. And again, the profile of the employer affects the outcome. Employers with an older workforce will see lower cost savings from the new scheme relative to employers with a younger workforce. We looked at ways of, we also asked as part of the consultation whether employers wanted to reflect a 10% take up of the 50-50 scheme, and that allows for a reduction in the contribution rate of about 0.6%. In section 3 we set out the relevant risks. It's important that the administrative authority takes a prudent view when negotiating the assumptions. It's also important that it has regard to the affordability of contributions and the need for some flexibility in the way that employer contributions are brought in. Under section 3.2 we remind members that the actuary has been able to take into account the linkage of normal pension age to state pension age, which is one way of managing longevity increases, but 5, there was considerable consultation, and 3 consultation meetings were held with employers. Under section 7, we set out the resource implications. The increase in liabilities is a major challenge to scheme funding. Under 7.2, most employers will see an increase in making contributions from the 1st of April. And then finally, we point out that employers are also seeing additional costs from auto enrolment and the loss of the national insurance rebate. So, unfortunately, a number of elements are starting to converge. So the recommendation is that members note the provisional valuation results and a final valuation report and a schedule containing employers' contributions will be reported to this committee in due course.
Any comments? Patrick, did you want to say anything?
No, I haven't report on Sunday.
Okay, thank you. Under the relevant risk, Peter, there's a not something in managing registries when it does not include under 3.2.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Could you comment on the tangible risk of the
Yes, these are smaller admission bodies in the scheme that have weak covenants, and we're conscious that with the way in which they're funded, a significant increase in contribution rates could affect the viability of their continuation in the scheme, and therefore the arrangements that we've made to try and hold down increases in contribution rates has had regard to their financial situation as well. They are a small element of the scheme, but clearly any employer that fails their deficit then falls to the other remaining employees in the scheme, so it's something that needs to be managed.
If an employer leaves, does leave will have a responsibility to let other employees know that that's happened and therefore there is an increase in liability?
It would be reported to this committee, and then it would be dealt with at the next actuarial evaluation. So yes.
Recommendations are that members note the provisional valuation results. Agreed? The funding strategy statement.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This statement sits alongside the actuarial evaluation. It's a statement that's produced by the actuary, and it sets out the assumptions that are used in considering the valuation, and also the way in which he's going to set employer contribution rates. We set out the key issues under section 2, and that's that we're required to publish a funding strategy statement when there's material change. Under section 2.3, we refer again to the active consultation we had with employers, and that was specifically to consider employer affordability. The comments received in relation to that consultation are presented, will be taken into account in the preparation of the funding strategy statement. And then we set out